Welcome to another episode of Not for the Weak-Minded. Now, this is going to be about genetic engineering and the dangers that we all face from it. Now, to start with, in this country, there had been a ban on creating hybrids or with embryos. Now, in this article by the BBC News, in 2008, they lifted the ban. So I'll read it. The government has survived two big challenges to its controversial plans to change the law on embryo research for the first time in 20 years. A cross-party attempt to ban hybrid human-animal embryos was defeated on a free vote by 336 to 176. Catholic cabinet ministers Ruth Kelly, Des Brownie and Paul Murphy voted for a ban. PM Gordon Brown and Tory leader David Cameron both opposed it. A bid to ban saviour siblings was voted down by 342 votes to 163. The votes followed two impassioned debates in the committee stage of the Human Fertilisation and Embryology Bill, aimed at updating laws from the 1990 in line with scientific advances. Ethically wrong? On Tuesday, MPs have further free vote on the emotive issue of cutting the abortion time limit. Oh, I wonder why that is, because they want more babies. You know, unbelievable. Mr Cameron, along with Mr Brown, has backed the use of hybrid embryos as a means to develop treatment for cancer and conditions such as Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. Right. No. You know, if you knew what was causing these problems, then you know that the genetics is not the answer. In fact, the answer is they are doing this. They are causing the problems. Problem, reaction, solution. Simple as that. They create all these problems, and we can heal ourselves. You know, we are superhuman. It's to do with positivity and other things, which we'll get into in a bit. They also both support the creation of saviour siblings, whatever that is, right? Must look that up in a minute. However, the majority of the Tory shadow cabinet, including Shadow Foreign Secretary William Hague and Shadow Home Secretary David Davis, backed the unsuccessful attempt to ban hybrids. Ex-Minister Edward Lee, who led the fight against the creation of hybrid admixed embryos, said they were ethically wrong and almost certainly medically useless. Absolutely right. He said there was no evidence yet to substantiate claims the work could lead to treatment for degenerative diseases like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's. Now, this is in 2008. Now, they have gone and further suggested it in the line that, oh yeah, we can be cured and we can be superhuman and we can do all this stuff. They're lying. You know, they're lying to you. They lie about everything. You know? So the bill would allow regulated research using hybrid or admixed embryos where the nuclei of human cells are inserted in animal eggs. The resulting embryos would be kept for up to 14 days to harvest stem cells. Health Minister Dawn Primarolo says any research done using human embryos must satisfy the Human Fertilisation and Embryology Authority that it was necessary or desirable. No human admixed embryo would be implanted to a woman or animal, she says. Yeah, right. But Lee said, we do not believe that that regulation is enough. We believe that this is a step too far and therefore should be banned. Damn right. In embryos, we do have the genetic makeup of the complete human beings, and we could not and should not be spliced together with the animal kingdom. Now, the reason why it works, as you know, is to do with creation itself, and now we're all interconnected, and you know, all mammals, for example, you know, 70 to 80% similar, same DNA. So we can be spliced together, you know, and I'll prove it to you in a minute. In another article, how hybrid embryos might be created. The next Labour Minister, Sir Gerald Kaufman, agreed, adding, how far do you go? Where do you stop? What are the limits and what are the boundaries? If you permit the creation of hybrid embryos now, What will you seek to permit next time, even if you have no idea where it will lead? Labour's Chris Byron, a former Anglican curate, said Mr. Lee's arguments were like those used by church leaders against the smallpox vaccine. God. They were wrong, and I think you are wrong today, he said. Liberal Democrat Evan Harris criticised those who argued hybrid embryos were too human. If it's ethically acceptable to use up and destroy fully human embryos with all the potential they have, how is it right to provide for human embryos with less potential viability, greater protection, he said. A separate attempt to ban pure hybrid embryos that would mix a human egg with animal sperm or vice versa was also defeated in the Commons by 286 votes to 223, a government majority of 63. There you go. So how many of them are Freemasons, I wonder? You know, there's 2 Freemason houses in Parliament, active. Come on, man. They're the enemy. The bill would allow the selection of embryos that are a tissue match for a sick older brother or sister. But Mr. Burrows said it was wrong to create a child for the benefit of another, regardless of the need. They want to create these children for themselves. Easier to harvest children that they can create rather than actually getting pregnant women to give them abortions, which is murder, particularly obviously depending on when the soul goes into the body, whenever that is. MPs are being given a free vote on 4 controversial parts of the bill. The other 2 areas are roles of father and fertility treatment would end the requirement for IVF clinics to consider the welfare of any child created in terms of a need for a father. Every kid needs a father. The upper limit for abortion, amendments have been put down to the bill to cut from 24 weeks to the time limit for abortions. Debate on Thursday. Alright. Tuesday even. Here we go. Roman Catholic Church has branded the use of hybrid embryos as monstrous and says tinkering with life is the way is moral. Coming from them. They're the ones that are doing it. These are the people. All roads lead to Rome. These people are the ones that are in charge still. For the money, for the secret societies. You know, the Freemasons are the Templars. You know, their ceremonies are exactly the same. They use the same things. Moving on. Catholic bishops in Britain and the Irish Republic have given 25,000 to scientists using adult stem cells, which is less controversial than immature ones. Right, because that makes a difference. Such cells can be used to create brain, skin, heart and other tissues for treating diseases. Now look, you do get good and bad with all these technologies and stuff, and we can use these things for good. The problem is that most people are unaware that their DNA is changing, because people are waking up and learning these things about reality and why they're wrong and what's going on, and that is actually changing your DNA for real, you know. So when this happens, it's a process that ultimately leads to you being able to have psychic abilities and certain other abilities, self-healing and a lot of other stuff that most people would never believe that they're capable of, you know. But you truly are. Every single one of you is special, that has a soul and that has compassion and has, you know, a heart essentially that cares. Anyway, I think we've read enough about them talking about bringing it in. Next one. So moving on. 2005. So even before that, they were doing it in other countries. So on a farm about 6 miles outside this gambling town, Jason Chamberlain looks over a flock of about 50 smelly sheep, many of them possessing partially human livers, hearts, brains and other organs. Oh, this is great, you know. If this works, that could save lives. However, we don't need this because, again, we can heal ourselves. We don't need, what we need to do is get rid of all the poison in our bodies and free our minds from the deception, which has been, placed over you since you were born. Even your parents and their parents. It's gone a long time. So, the University of Nevada Reno Research talks matter-of-factly about his plans to euthanize one of the pregnant sheep in a nearby lab. He can't wait to examine the effects of the human cells he had injected into the fetus brain about 2 months ago. As strange as his work may sound, it falls firmly with the new ethics guidelines the influential national academies issued this past week for stem cell research. In fact, the report endorses research that commingles human and animal tissue as vital to ensuring the experimental drugs and new tissue replacement therapies are safe for people. Yeah, before you actually try it on people, how about you test it? Doctors have transplanted pig valves into human hearts for years, and scientists have injected human cells into lab animals for even longer. Yeah, we know they've been doing it. But the biological commingle of animal and human is now evolving into even more exotic and unscientific mixes of species involving the Greek myth of the monstrous chimera, which was part lion, part goat, and part serpent. In the past 2 years, scientists have created pigs with human blood, fused rabbit eggs with human DNA, and injected human stem cells to make paralysed mice walk. Bear in mind it's 2005, right? Particularly worrisome to some scientists are the nightmare scenarios that could arise from the mixing of brain cells. Whether human mind somehow got trapped inside a sheep's head. God, that's ridiculous. The idea that human neuronal cells might participate in higher order brain functions in a non-human animal, however unlikely that may be, arise concerns that need to be considered. I suppose you're right. Mice with human brains, harvesting human organs from sheep, and combining monkeys and people, because that's not going to create more diseases, is it? Yeah, so there's that. Let's moving on. So, first human clone. CBS News. When was this? 2002, this article. So, further back you go in time, the more advanced they were, it seems. A scientist announced Friday that her group had produced the first cloned human being, triggered skepticism for research, condemnation from some religious groups, and a federal investigation. The 7-pound baby was born Thursday by cesarean section and will be home in 3 days, said Bridget B., a chemist and CEO of Clonaid, the company that did the experiment. I wonder who funded them. Or Rothschilds. She wouldn't say where the baby was born. She did say the birth was at 11:55 a.m. local time. Baby dubbed Eve was the first clone of a 31-year-old American woman and was born outside the United States, but wouldn't specify where. The woman donated DNA for the cloning process, had the resulting embryo implanted, and then gestated the baby. If confirmed, that it would make the child an exact genetic duplicate of her mother. I mean, really? Why would you do that? Making an exact replica of yourself. Really? Who wouldn't reveal any names? Not surprised, because she's probably working for them. The baby is very healthy, she said. The parents are happy. I hope that you remember them when you talk about this baby, not like a monster, like some results of something that's disgusting. Did not immediately present DNA evidence showing a genetic match between mother and daughter. Am I telling the truth? Is she though? Probably not, since she's not telling the whole story there. That. So at the top of his list are the problems seen in animals that have been cloned so far, which makes Bush claims of good health for the baby premature at best. There are people who have basically told the scientific world to take a hike, says Marino. We know from farm animals that they've had problems with the neurological systems, that they've had tumours, that they've had problems of premature aging. So we don't really know what the health consequences are going to be for this child. Clearly the announcement is creating a flood of questions, ethical, medical, political, religious, some which belong solely to the field of science fiction up to this point. We're still debating it today, you know. This stuff should have been heavily regulated, just like the oil industry back in the day. If it was heavily regulated, they would have not got away with this, poisoning the planet. Most scientists, you know, dealing with plastic, it's their responsibility, not ours, and yet we're the ones that have to clean it up and pay for it. It's disgusting. Most scientists, already sceptical of Bio's ability to produce a human clone, will probably demand to know exactly how the DNA testing was done before they believe the announcement. We'll wait and see, I guess. I'll have to do more research into this, I suppose. I'm still a skeptic, and I'm hoping that it's not true. But anyway, it goes on and on and on. Maybe she was, maybe she wasn't. This is the same one. Same day. Was it? No, day before, so this one's newer. And not necessarily going into the same thing. So moving on. 2011, 150 human human-animal hybrids grown in the UK labs. Embryos have been produced secretly for the past 3 years. And the rest. So what are they doing with these embryos, I wonder? You know, what's their agenda with it? Scientists have created more than 150 animal hybrid embryos in British laboratories. The hybrids have been produced secretly over the past 3 years by researchers looking into possible cures for a wide range of diseases. Right, cures. Because these people are nothing but philanthropists and liars. They pretend they've got your best interests but really they're trying to kill you. This is the world we live in. This is the world we live in. People trust the enemy. It's unbelievable. The hybrids have been produced secretly over the past 3 years by researchers. Oh yeah, about cures, I read that. The revelation comes just the day after a committee of scientists warned of a nightmare Planet of the Apes scenario in which work on human-animal creations goes too far. Last night, a campaigner against the excessive medical research said he was disgusted that scientists were dabbling in the grotesque. Why they're dabbling in it is because they want to create these beings, because what they're trying to do is recreate creation. So they're trying to recreate all these animals and in their own images, you know, in their own likeness. So there's another thing with that. When you understand that that's exactly what the enemy is doing, you know, is trying to recreate creation itself, you'll truly understand that you are created and that so is the earth. Undeniably so. You know, logic. This is what the enemy are doing. And how are they doing it? Through technology. So the sun is technology and it's local. There's an example. Figures seen by the Daily Mail show that 155 admixed embryos containing both human and animal genetic material have been created since the introduction of the 2008 Human Fertilization Embryology Act. Right, since 2008. So, yeah. What have they got now? You can only imagine, you know? They've got these beings, created beings and that. But this, because of ancient history and research and sort of going into time travel a bit, but these beings are, you know, we've created, so to speak, are actually part of the extraterrestrial fake alien invasion, you know, which is definitely on the horizon. You know, whether it's, you know, after World War III, which, to be honest, is looking ever likely, more likely to start in South America, So essentially, you can read it yourself, but yeah, they've created all these hybrids for their agenda. Okay, and now I'm going into CRISPR and gene editing and basically why it's dangerous and why they're doing it. So since 2012, the universal energies that are frequencies which are coming into this world are actually changing and activating your DNA to eventually wake you up to see the world for what it really is. Now, not everyone has got it straight away. It affects everyone differently. Sometimes it affects people to the point where it makes you feel sick. You know, you're ill. Or you've got headaches. But it's to do with a spiritual awakening. And so, and dormant DNA, and to do with knowledge, and to do with how basically once you start learning reality, your DNA will also change with that, you know, with the knowledge, because it's to do with your perception. Now, obviously my perception of reality is completely different to most other people's. You know, I'd say the majority of the world, you know, 90% of the world are sheep, you know, asleep, have sound asleep, that no idea what's coming, no idea about this stuff, no idea. You know, all they care about is Facebook, cats, and, you know, crap on TV that means nothing. You know, there's more to life than that. There's more to life than money. There's more to life than this society, you know, as a whole. So essentially, they're going to try and mess around with the human DNA, and yet they've recently found, when was this article published? This year, new structure of DNA called eye motif. Now, that just doesn't sound right as a DNA structure to me. I mean, it's not right. And when you start looking into this eye stuff, that's not good either. That's a symbol, that is. It's a sign and a symbol. You know, the iPhone and all the other stuff has got eye. It's connected. Anyway, so they're trying to tell us something here. Essentially that, you know, they found a different strand of DNA that's small. Not like a double helix. So, generally speaking, the structure of the molecule comes from adenyl binding with thymine and cytosine binding with guanine. But this is not the case with the eye motif. Is a knot of DNA, said Professor Marcel Dinger, the studies of other co-leader. In the knot structure, letters on the same strand of DNA bind to each other. This is very different from a double helix where the letters on opposite strands recognize each other and where C's bind to G's. So yeah, they're only now discovering that, you know, there's more to DNA than what we think, and yet they're ready to do it. You know, they're ready to do it to humans. Really? I mean, this is a red flag, massive red flag. It's not ready, nowhere near ready. It's all about destruction. It's all about destroying your DNA. It has nothing to do with curing diseases. This is how these people work. They tell you a lie, which is that, and then you get fooled by it. I'm not going to read the article because I've been going on about everything. And now they're going to bring in the first GMO into this country. Again, massive flag. Not good. GMOs are poison. They are full of things that change your DNA. Proven. This is why it needs to be banned. This is why we need to stop these people, because they're literally destroying everything and poisoning us. When are people going to not see this? So going back to what I was saying about universal energies and about DNA activation and light from the universe, you know, you can look and Google for yourself, light codes and transmission of DNA. I'm not going into it. Last article, because I've been going on now 25 minutes. It's by the Smithsonian, and again, your childhood experiences can permanently change your DNA. So it's very important to know that what you learn and what you think and your thoughts about reality matter. Your perception of it matter. The truth matters. You know, if you don't care about the truth, then you're an idiot. Don't care about, you know, the mundane things in life, then, you know, you're in the wrong planet. So, yeah, another article. I'm not going into it, but you can read it if you like, if you feel like researching it. But yeah, so thank you very much for watching today, and hope you liked it. Share, subscribe. Goodbye.